I bet there's quite a few of you that have been looking forward to this update video. I certainly would if I was you. What a bloodbath that it's been. I really do feel for the people out there who have been crushed by this month in terms of the volatility. My thoughts do really go out to anybody who has bought in over the last few weeks. If you have, then I'll give you some of my thoughts shortly. Up until now, I've been gloating about how my portfolio has been going up and up and up every single month. It has been very much the definition of irrational exuberance, but we all knew in the back of our minds that just one day the crunch would come. Well, this month was the crunch, but the real question is, how much has my account bled over the last few weeks, and what are my plans going forward? On top of this, I finally got the results of my first supercharger event on crypto.com. And off the back of this, I've actually made quite a number of changes to my portfolio. As always, if you're a curious viewer and you haven't yet gained any exposure to the crypto markets, or maybe you already have and you quite like the look of crypto.com, then feel free to use my link in the description below where you can get $25 of free crypto for the large cost of setting up an account. It's really that easy. Anyway, link below in the description. Before I get into the portfolio update, I just want to highlight a video that I posted within just the last 2 weeks. I'll make sure I put a link in the top right, which is all about comments made by Cardano's founder, Charles Hoskinson. In brief, he highlighted that if you're purely into crypto just for the market gains, then you are likely to lose money. I do agree with some of Charles's thoughts to a certain extent, and there are a lot of people flooding into the market with the hopes of becoming some kind of overnight millionaire. But for me, it really rang home when I overheard a personal trainer at the gym talk about how they had 500 quid in Bitcoin, and they even admitted they knew nothing about it as their son had actually invested it for them. There is no doubt in my mind that this isn't an isolated incident. There will be a lot of naive money in crypto, and which will only make the markets more volatile. For anyone new to my channel, my mindset goes into the following 3 categories when investing into crypto. 1. I only have a small allocation in crypto as a percentage of my overall portfolio. For me, it's about 2%. The second is that I feel it's pretty much impossible to spot the winners in the market, and that's with the caveat that there will be any winners at all. Just like how it's pretty much impossible in the run-up to the dot-com bubble to pick out the winners. Based on this, I would have a large spread of cryptocurrencies with a weighted allocation based on my market cap. And lastly, a long-term time horizon is needed. Well, how long is long? Well, consider this. It took Amazon 10 years to rematch the dot-com bubble peak, 17 years for it to 10x, and 30 years for a 30x. So for me, if you're more heavily invested than 2%, or if you've got a very narrow range of cryptocurrencies, or actually your time horizon is far shorter than 10 to 30 years, then you're either going to have difficulties walking or you're deluded. No guesses what camp I think you sat in. If the recent sell-off has significantly unsettled you, then you've either invested too much or your time horizons are far too short. You can't expect massive upside or double-digit gains in a single day if you aren't prepared to take the brutal down days. If you're in for the ride, then strap in and enjoy it, but you need to enjoy both the ups and downs. Talking about a wild ride, let's check in on my crypto.com account. How on earth has it fared since last month's check-in? Well, as a quick reminder, I started my portfolio in March with £2,000, which quickly grew to £2,400 in April, then £3,900 in May. This growth didn't slow down and if anything accelerated. Through the start of May, it actually peaked at £4,802, which was on the 10th of May. My first significant drop came on the 13th of May, which brought my portfolio back down to £4,100 in just 1 hour. The market then flew down on the 19th, putting my portfolio all the way down to £2,708, and then it flew down again on the 22nd to £2,125. It was quite the wild drop to say the least. So my portfolio dropped 60%, which is just short of £3,000 in just 9 days. It was a brutal reality check from the crypto markets. Do need to step back though and look at the broader picture. Consider that after all of this, at the very bottom, I was still up 5% on my initial investment. If the crypto markets hadn't climbed so high and my portfolio had slowly risen up 5% across 3 months, would I be disappointed? Hell no. That would have meant I was on course to grow my account by 20% in just 1 year. If I could guarantee that every year I could do that, I would have put all my money into crypto. With a market as volatile as crypto, context is extremely important, which the wider media loves to ignore. A story saying that Bitcoin has lost 50% of its value in just 1 hour doesn't sound as good as a story that says Bitcoin has lost 50% of its value, but it's still up 2% versus last month. My personal saving grace in all this is that I decided to diversify a lot from the very start, which I actually got a lot of criticism about at the time. I got responses like, you're over-investing into altcoins, or your Sharpe ratio score is really bad, all those sorts of comments. To demonstrate what the impact might have been, if I'd invested full £2,000 into Bitcoin, my portfolio would have peaked at £2,650, which would have been £2,000 short for my current portfolio. And I'd have been down as low as £1,344, which would have been 35% lower than I've hit so far. That would have stung a hell of a lot. I need to clarify though, I am not claiming Bitcoin is a bad investment. After all, I hold Bitcoin myself, or that my strategy will outperform Bitcoin in the long term. But for me, it just highlights the importance of being well diversified, especially within the crypto space, to manage risk and volatility. Anyway, that's my food for thought. I would love to know your thoughts, so let me know in the comment section below. But before we jump into my portfolio update, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to all my patrons. If you're interested in joining, then there'll be a link in the description below. I appreciate that not everyone wants to support me with £2 a month, so the next best thing you can do is simply liking this video. Anyway, I appreciate all the support that you give me. So, where is my portfolio valued right now after hitting the depths of £2,125? So my portfolio's been floating around about £3,000, but let me just quickly refresh to see where it's at right now. I think it's around £3,080 or something like that. Yeah, so £3,073 as of right now, which is a good 50% up from the bottom. So I can't say that I'm that upset with the recent crash because it sprung back up pretty quickly. But in the midst of all the market madness, I have made several changes to my portfolio, which I'll go through now. So the actual trigger for me to actually make some changes was the ending of the first supercharger event, which I'll take a look at now. The supercharger event was for Engine Coin when I was doing it. So you can now see that it's now moved on to a different supercharger event in my app. But if we go into my Engine Coin, what you'll see is if I do view allocation, yeah, here you go. So to give you some insight, I actually had £500 worth of CRO in the supercharger event towards the end, but the average amount I probably had over the 6 weeks or 45 days was around about 250 quid. I've got to say, when I saw that my reward for this period was only 2.86 Engine Coin, I was a little bit underwhelmed with the returns of it, if I'm honest. At the time of receiving this, I think 2.86 Engine worked out to roughly £4.80 or something like that. But once I broke down the maths of taking part in the event, I figured out I was making about 10.5p per day. So if I extrapolate that across a whole year, I was getting about £38 back on my initial investment of about 250 quid, which was an annualised return of just 16%. So actually, if I could lock in 16% all the time, then it's a bit of a no-brainer actually. So I was really, really happy with my results. So after initially being underwhelmed with what I'd got, I was actually pretty happy with it after I'd done the maths. So I must have taken part in the next supercharger event, right? Well, no, I didn't for a few reasons. If I kind of go back out on my app now, you'll see that the next event is for Shibcoin, as you can see here. And as you can see, I've currently got no CRO in this supercharging event. So what gives? Well, if you didn't know, Shib Inu coin is basically a rip-off version of Dogecoin. And if you've watched my last month's update, you'll know how I feel about Doge. But if you haven't, then I'll put a link in the top right now. I've got to say, I'm not one for picking cryptocurrencies, but I just felt that the £500 worth of CRO that I had in the supercharger event was better used elsewhere. So on balance, I decided to make some changes and not partake in this supercharger event. After all, 16% is better than a 2% return, but then think about it, do I want 16% return on a £250, or would I rather top up some bigger portions of my portfolio and maybe get a 2% return on those? For me, I decided to top up some allocations, so I'll just have a look what I've done now. So if I just go over to my crypto earn, you can probably see already that I've got, what, 2/3 of my portfolio. So I've got £1,800 at the moment, all in crypto earn, earning a return. So before this month's update, I only had Bitcoin and Ethereum in there. But as you'll see shortly, I've added on quite a few new positions when it loads. So you can see I've only got 24 hours left in Ethereum at the top. I've then managed to get Cardano in there, so I actually bought some Cardano so I could meet the minimum limit, so I could actually then stake it so I can get a return on it. I've also got Litecoin in there, which I've only just been able to add. I've got Dogecoin in there, so I haven't bought any more Dogecoin, don't worry, but you might have seen on my YouTube channel that actually Crypto.com have added Dogecoin in their crypto earn feature. So if you do have any Dogecoin in your portfolio, make sure you're putting it in crypto earn. Then got Chainlink, I've got Polkadot in there, I've got Bitcoin that I've had in there in quite a while, I've got Stellar, and I've got Cosmos in there. So I have been buying lots of different pieces of quite the large cap coins in total. Anyway, the net effect is that I've got now 2/3 of my portfolio all in crypto earn that I really like. This means there has been quite a shake up in my portfolio. So if I just go to the pie chart on the top left, you'll see it'll give me a percentage breakdown of all my different positions and where they're currently at. So you can see my top 4 positions have around about a 8, 9, 10% holding. So you've got Ethereum, Cardano, Binance and Bitcoin all around the 8, 9% mark. And then I've got a trail end of about, 7 cryptocurrencies there that have all got around a 5% holding. So what you can see here is I've probably got about 70% of my account held over just about 11 or 12 different cryptocurrencies. After that, I've actually got quite a long tail end of quite a few. So I've got Ripple, Polygon that I've added in recently, Filecoin, literally only bits and pieces that don't sum up to much. But I've just added them in to get a bit more of a broadening of my portfolio, just in case I manage to catch one of those coins that does like 100x or something like that. I've only got about £1 in there, so it's not that much really. In terms of my plans going forward, there are some holes I need to fill. So there's 2 big market cap coins that I've not got that much in, which is Ripple and Internet Computer. So I'll actually beef them out over the next month. I'm not looking to make these positions too big, but big enough to feel that I've got a decent level enough of exposure to them, as they do hold quite a big market cap. Somewhere around about 3% of my portfolio. So not as big as my big cap coins, but getting up there. After this, I want to build up a little bit more CRO, as I really need to get on with unlocking the Ruby Red card. If you follow me on YouTube, you might have seen a photo that I've actually just received my blue card just recently, which I'll show you now. Hang on, let me just cover up my name. Yes, I'm a Nicholas, by the way, if you can see that. So that came in the post a few days ago. It did take about 6 weeks, so do give it a bit of time to get there. Don't worry about it if it's a bit later than that. It will be fascinating though to see how my portfolio gets on over the next month. Will the market continue to bleed, or will it actually boom again as we've seen over the last few months? Let me know in the description below how your crypto portfolio has been getting on over the last month and any changes that you might be making going forward. Again, if you haven't got any crypto, then I think it's a bit of a no-brainer to get $25 completely for free just by signing up from the link below. Anyway, that's all for this video. See you in the next one.